Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So in this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was in Teen Titan, and fall in love with Barbara. This is part 1 and subscribe for more. A young blonde man emerged badly injured from a place he was meant to die in, a pitch-black grave known as the La Brea Tar Pits. He was mauled and burned. His azure left eye was open and his right was swollen shut. He saw tourists nearby pointing at him in surprise as well as a ranger and let himself drift into the blackness of unconsciousness. Flashback. "You managed to wound me, boy," said the bloodied Slade Wilson as he towered over Naruto's broken body. "You even nicked an artery. I'll give you credit. Few enemies have ever threatened my life." The villain kicked Naruto in his broken ribs, causing him to fall into the tar. "I don't know who sent you, but if you survive this then come find me. Otherwise rest in the tar pits with the fossils." As Naruto slowly sank into the black muck, his open blue eye flashed hatefully. He hissed, "You'll regret not killing me, Deathstroke the Terminator." Deathstroke turned away and said, "Hey, what an interesting boy." Flashback end, Los Angeles County plus USC Medical Center, Intensive Care Ward. Several days later, Garfield Logan, also known as Beast Boy, looked at the mangled pile of Rekigai that went by Naruto and said, "This guy took on Slade alone and lived to tell about it. He must be pretty damn strong." "I'll say," agreed Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, who was scanning the blonde with his cybernetic eye. "His body is healing at an incredible rate. He's some kind of metahuman. I wonder who he is." Beast Boy shrugged and replied, "Robin is on it, so we'll know soon enough." Titan's Tower, Jump City, California. Naruto Uzumaki, all I have is a name. Dick Grayson, also known as Robin, was looking over the data that he found on Naruto's person to try to identify the unknown metahuman. There was honestly very little to be found on the blonde. The tar had destroyed almost everything. There was a partial driver's license issued in Gotham City as well as a private investigator's business card. Both were inconclusive. As far as Robin was concerned, Naruto was still a John Doe. Worse still, Dick couldn't find any records of a Naruto Uzumaki anywhere in the vast resources that the Titan's Tower databases had access to. As Robin looked through the blonde's belongings, he found few other items of interest. This Naruto character had Kevlar body armor and chainmail of Eastern origin, but all his weapons and gear were lost in the tar pits. The only identifiable things on him were within this melted wallet. That was when he noticed a photograph of a gorgeous redhead tucked away in the wallet that was partially destroyed. Dick's eyes widened because he recognized the girl in the picture, Barbara Gordon. Coriander, aka Starfire, rushed in after hearing Dick yell out, "Robin, are you all right?" called the alien girl. "I heard you yell all the way from my room." Batman's former sidekick was slightly panicked and said, "I think Barbara may be in danger." That was when Raven entered the command room and asked, "Who is this Barbara person?" The telepathic girl could tell whoever it was. Dick was very worried about her. Robin replied, Barbara Gordon is an old friend of mine from Gotham City." Starfire felt a twinge of suspiciousness and asked, "Friend Robin, who is she to you exactly?" "She's my ex," whispered Dick to himself. "I mean, she's just a really good friend. I've known her for years," he added lamely. It was obvious to the girls he was hiding something. Raven rolled her eyes. "If you think she's in danger, then why don't you just give her a phone call?" Robin's sweat dropped. "Why didn't I think of that?" Gotham City, Commissioner James Gordon's residence. Barbara Gordon was checking over her fighting gear she used in her persona of Batgirl. The crime fighter was working on some ideas to improve on the combat capabilities of the uniform when she got a video call from her former teammate partner, Dick Grayson. The redhead activated the screen and saw his pale face. She asked, "Dick, are you all right? You look all out of sorts." Robin sighed in relief. "I just wanted to check on you, Barbara. I found your picture on someone and I thought you might be a target. The man's ID says his name is Naruto Uzumaki. Have you heard of him?" Batgirl raised an eyebrow. "Of course I've heard of him. He's my boyfriend." Seeing Robin's deer in the headlights look, she asked irritably, "You two didn't get in a fight, did you?" Dick quickly held his hands up and said, No. He was in a fight with Slade Wilson." "Deathstroke?" asked the redhead. She saw Robin nod and growled, I told that dummy not to investigate Wilson, but he said it was just a job to do. Her voice turned to worry. How badly was Naruto hurt? Robin quickly related what he knew and concluded with, so your friend Naruto is in pretty bad shape. The redhead took a deep breath. I'm on my way out there. Can you guys put me up in the Titan's Tower for a couple of weeks? I need to be there for Naruto in case he tries to go after Slade Wilson again. Is he nuts? Asked Dick incredulously. Barbara gave Robin a withering glare and said, no, he is just very determined like most of the hard-headed men I know. Sweat dropping and realizing the battle was already lost, Robin asked, so when will you be arriving in Jump City, Barbara? Wayne Enterprises Surgical Hospital, Jump City, California. Naruto awoke 3 days later wrapped up like a mummy. He smelled various chemicals and found he was in an unfamiliar place. The blonde heard the soft sounds of someone typing on a keyboard to his right. He was in sterile bandages from head to toe and had several casts and braces. I'm in some sort of hospital, thought Naruto. Then he inhaled deeply and smelled the sweet fragrance of his red-headed girlfriend. The typing stopped and Barbara Gordon's voice said quietly, I can tell you're awake, Naruto. I always can. I've been worried sick about you. The blonde sagged guiltily at the hurt in her voice. He said hoarsely, I'm sorry, Barbara. How long have I been out? You left Gotham City 9 days ago, she replied. You were in the Los Angeles County Medical Center when I arrived. I had you transferred down to the Wayne Enterprises Surgical Hospital here in Jump City so no one would discover you were a metahuman with a massive healing factor. You're still covered in bandages, but I'd lay odds you were healing up quickly. Naruto smiled and made a fist with his right hand. Chakra crackled up and down his arm and the bandages were ripped away by the energy. He felt his muscles ripple with power and looked at his now exposed right arm. Naruto's freshly regrown skin was pinkish and there were no signs of injury to be seen. He grinned at Barbara, showing his lengthened canine teeth. She smiled at his antics and said, now if only I could get you to stay out of trouble. Look who's talking, quipped Naruto. Touché, replied Barbara with a glitter in her green eyes. Beast Boy and Starfire came down to Naruto's hospital room discussing the situation. Robin seems awfully upset that his ex is involved with this Naruto character. Who do you think he is? Asked the green-skinned teen. The red-haired Tamaranian girl looked slightly worried and said, Friend Robin thinks that Naruto may be dangerous. We have no records on him except what our new friend Barbara has provided. But how do you feel about it, Star? Wondered Garfield. Coming to Naruto's room, he knocked lightly on the door. He heard nothing at first, but then a feminine moan came from within the hospital room. Beast Boy blushed, but Starfire walked right in and saw Barbara and Naruto standing up, engaged in a passionate lip lock. The golden-skinned alien girl watched the heated actions of the pair for a moment before turning to the beet-red Garfield and said, It seems they are beginning the rituals for mating. We should come back later when they are done. Beast Boy face-palmed as Naruto and Barbara turned towards them in a mixture of embarrassment and irritation. The redhead buried her face in her lover's chest and Naruto fixed Beast Boy with a baleful glare that froze Garfield in his tracks as Coriander dragged him out of the room. Geez, I haven't been glared at like that since I met Batman, said Beast Boy with a shiver. This Naruto dude is hardcore. 2 days later, Naruto had fully recovered due to his healing factor and was released from the hospital. His spiky blonde hair had yet to completely grow back in and it looked like he had a military buzz cut. He and Barbara were walking through the park in Jump City smiling and holding hands. The redhead was chuckling as she rubbed the top of Naruto's head. Here I was going to buy you a wig or some turtle wax polish for your skull, but even your hair grows back so quickly. Too bad. Naruto rolled his eyes at Barbara's antics and smiled. I'm so lucky to have such a caring sweetheart of a girlfriend. You'd better believe it, mister, replied the redhead brightly. She hugged him and said, Let's sit down in the shade. Nodding, Naruto led her over to a bench where they sat down. Not much like Gotham, is it? Asked the blonde. I wish things would never change. But you can't stop the change, said a deep feminine voice behind them. The two teens whirled around and saw a slender Asian woman in a black long coat, and Barbara recognized the interloper immediately. Sandra Wu-san, what an unexpected pleasure. Shit, we can't take on a hit woman the likes of Lady Shiva. thought the red-headed crime fighter. You're a long way from home, Barbara Gordon, said the assassin, but my business is with Naruto here. She slowly pulled a sheathed katana out of her long coat and said, I believe you misplaced this near the La Brea tar pits, Naruto Uzumaki. You should be more careful. Naruto's eyes crackled with chakra and he said, thank you, Lady Shiva. I'll be more mindful with my belongings in the future. Is there anything else? Shiva smiled coldly and said, call your mother when you can. She is anxious to hear from you. Am I a target? Asked the blonde. The assassin shook her head. No, you badly wounded Slade Wilson and lived to tell the tale. It's actually impressive for a boy your age. She turned away and said, farewell. Naruto sighed in relief after Lady Shiva departed. He checked his katana and sheathed it before turning to Barbara, who was quietly watching him. He knew she was upset. The question was how upset she was. The redhead stated, I'm waiting. The blonde asked, what do you want to know? Her green eyes locked with his azure pools. Everything. How do you know Lady Shiva and do you know what she is? Naruto replied, Lady Shiva was one of my mentors that taught me hand-to-hand combat after I returned from my training in Japan. She is an associate of the League of Assassins and is one of the most deadly unarmed combatants alive. So you're a member of the League of Assassins? Asked Barbara. Seeing Naruto nod sadly, she took his hand and said, this is too much. Let's just go to a hotel and forget who we are. I need you. We'll talk about this in the morning. Infinity Island, Indian Ocean, base of the League of Assassins. Ra's al Ghul was talking with his daughter Talia al Ghul. The beautiful brown-haired woman was furious. Father, did you order my son to assassinate Slade Wilson? She asked shrilly. He isn't ready for that kind of challenge yet. Her father said, and yet he injured Wilson badly enough to cause the man to go in for surgery. Talia was ready to explode. It was nearly at the cost of Naruto's life. Taking a paternal tone, Ra's al Ghul replied, calm yourself, Talia. I didn't give the order. I wouldn't put my precious heir in that kind of danger before he is ready. Seeing his daughter relax a bit, he added, I'm looking into who gave the order. They will be dealt with accordingly. While we're on the subject though, I'm very impressed with Naruto's performance in this matter. He is an amazing boy. He is destined to be great. Agreed Talia. Assuming he lives long enough. This sloppy handling of the situation is just why the League of Assassins needs stricter controls on it, father. Ra's al Ghul frowned. Don't push me, daughter. Through this hardship, Naruto will only grow stronger. Seaside Resort Hotel, Jump City, California. Barbara woke up in the morning with her head lying on Naruto's chest. Last night had been mechanical. She and Naruto were generally very passionate and joyful when they made love. But the night before had been emotionless, animal rutting. Naruto had a sad look in his eyes all night long. The redhead shifted slightly and Naruto gently squeezed her. Please don't leave me, Barbara. I love you. Her green eyes widened slightly when she realized the blonde said it in his sleep. She nuzzled him and whispered, I won't leave. I love you too. We'll work things out somehow. His grip lessened and she felt her lover's body relax. She felt her own body lose its tension and fell back to sleep in Naruto's arms. Around noon the two lovers woke up and were lying in each other's embrace talking about their current situation. Naruto explained, I was raised by a master ninja in Japan from when I was 3 years old. When I was 13 I was taken back by the League of Assassins and trained by several masters including Lady Shiva for a time. When I turned 15 I started taking missions and moved to Gotham. Then all of the business about you being a private investigator was a fabrication? Asked the redhead. Naruto shook his head. No, I needed a real job to cover my activities and started doing detective work. I really enjoy it. Every once in a while the League of Assassins wants me to do a job for them, so I just investigate that person first. I'm sorry I had to hide it from you. Barbara replied, let me talk to Batman. I'm sure he could help you. The blonde raised an eyebrow. Help me with what? I'm perfectly happy with my job. The League of Assassins is ruthless, said the redhead with a frown. They could order you to die in a heartbeat. What if they ordered you to take me out? Then I'd burn them alive. Naruto said in a bone-chilling voice. I'd kill them all to protect you. Barbara's green eyes widened. You really would, wouldn't you? In a heartbeat, replied the blonde seriously. I love you. She smiled and kissed him. And I love you. Come join me. Become a crime fighter. There are others that have left the League of Assassins and fought for justice. If only it were that easy, thought Naruto as he kissed her forehead. Titan's Tower. Robin had been on a mission for what seemed like eons to him, researching a certain blonde mystery. I've got you, Naruto Uzumaki. He crowed. The boy wonder searched Japanese secret documents for days until he found one in the Japanese Ministry of Defense. His eyes narrowed when he read what he found. Person of interest. Uzumaki Naruto. Genius level intellect. Skilled martial artist. Skilled swordsman. Master hacker. Expert detective. Bio. Japanese citizen. Actual parentage unknown. Raised by Professor Gama Jiraiya, writer and martial arts practitioner. Graduated Tokyo University at age 13 with a doctorate in computer science. Traveled abroad for 2 years, no known data. Immigrated to United States at age 15 where he attends Burnside Academy in Gotham City. Currently studying criminal justice and business. Has been offered numerous positions in the Japanese military and Secret Service but has turned them all down. Current occupation. Private investigator in Gotham City. No known criminal record in Japan or the United States. End of report. Dick drummed his fingers. Sounds too good to be true. I wonder what he was doing for 2 years when he was traveling abroad. I'd better dig into this guy's school records in Gotham and see what else I can find. Seaside Resort Hotel. Barbara was drying her hair after a nice shower and Naruto was taking his turn washing up. She suddenly heard her cell phone ring. The crime fighter immediately noticed the call was encrypted by the code on it. Picking it up, the redhead answered, Hello, Barbara Gordon speaking. Robin was on the other end of the line. Barbara, it's Dick Grayson. Are you in the clear to talk? It's about your boyfriend Naruto Uzumaki. She arched an eyebrow and said, I'm in the clear, what's your interest? I've been looking into his background and some things don't add up, said the boy wonder. I think you could be in serious danger associating with him. The redhead sighed. It's just like Dick to stick his nose into things to protect his friends, she thought. Dick, I already know that. I'm unraveling it all now. I want him to join us. Join us? Asked Robin. As a crime fighter, explained the redhead. I'm getting in touch with Batman about it. Barbara, I'll come right out with it, said Dick. His immigration records fall off the map for 2 years. From my contacts in India he may have been on Infinity Island. She replied. He's in the League of Assassins. I just found out. What? Robin stuttered. Then why? He's earned my complete trust, Dick, said Barbara. Have a little faith in me. Naruto is worth the risk. Let me started the boy wonder. Stay out of this one, Dick. I know you mean well but I can handle it, she said. Trust me. Look, I've got to go. I'll talk to you later. Infinity Island, Indian Ocean, base of the League of Assassins. Ra's al Ghul was talking to his granddaughter Mara al Ghul. It seems your little gambit to kill your cousin Naruto failed, Mara, said Ra's as Mara's eyes widened in terror. You're quite fortunate that I didn't tell Talia you gave the orders in my name to send him on a suicide mission. Why, you knew? Asked Mara fearfully. I knew about it all along but let the situation play out because I found it interesting, stated the head of the League of Assassins. I realize you envy and hate Naruto al Ghul because I chose him to be my successor rather than you, but this proves why. You just remember, granddaughter, if Naruto finds out he will come after you and I won't intervene on your behalf. That black-haired, red-banged girl kneeled before Ra's al Ghul and said, I understand, grandfather. I will increase my training. See that you do, Mara, said the elder. No doubt Naruto will be doing so as well. After Ra's left, Mara sat down and reflected on her situation with her cousin Naruto. It's not fair. I was the golden child and leader of the Demon's Fist too until Naruto came along. They gave him everything. He showed up after being trained somewhere else in the shadows and completely dominated me at everything. Even through subterfuge I can't win. I just want to destroy him and show why I'm better. I'm so disgusted. As Mara al Ghul ranted mentally to herself, Ra's wondered about the future of his granddaughter. Mara exploited Naruto's overconfidence with her cunning, but it wasn't enough. They are both 17 now, but Naruto's blood is the purest. Someday he will inherit both my mantle and that of Bruce Wayne. Perhaps it's time that I have Talia reveal her son to his father. Titan's Tower, Jump City, California. Later that day, the Titan's Tower shook slightly as a minor tremor along the San Andreas Fault occurred. The Teen Titans were in the control room of the tower when things started shaking. Cyborg pulled a map up of the seismic activity over the last few hours and said, "This isn't natural, guys. The seismic shocks are occurring along the San Andreas Fault and they are all the exact same magnitude. All the data patterns point to someone trying to sink a big chunk of California into the Pacific Ocean. Literally millions could die. Who could cause this kind of damage?" asked Raven. "The only person I can think of is Terra 3, but she is gone." Beast Boy said, "Terra would never do this anyway. There must be another explanation." Robin was looking over the map and said, "We need to figure out where the next quake will happen and when. At this point we simply don't know when, who, why or how. We need answers and fast. Offshore oil rig number 117, Pacific Ocean near San Francisco. The H.I.V.E. 5-4 led by Dr. Light were Gizmo, Mammoth, Shimmer and Jinx. They were assigned by H.I.V.E*5 to set off seismic shockwaves for reasons unknown to them, but it wasn't hard for them to figure it out. Gizmo said to his cohorts, "As much as I hate the song Hotel California by the Eagles, I never thought I'd be sinking a state over it." "Was that supposed to be funny, Gizmo?" asked Jinx with a sweat drop. "Don't quit your day job." Shimmer groaned. "Yeah, Gizmo. The Joker you ain't." The diminutive Gizmo frowned and muttered a few curses under his breath. Dr. Light chuckled obnoxiously and said, "Tough crowd. So when are the fireworks going to start?" asked Mammoth as he looked east towards the California coast. 13 hours from now we fire the seismic cannon one last time," replied Dr. Light. "Everything has to follow the schedule." He motioned over to a chopper landed on the oil rig. "After that point we take off in our helicopter and get the hell out of here." Titan's Tower, Jump City. Barbara and Naruto were at the Titan's Tower as guests, much to Robin's chagrin. The Titans needed all the manpower they could get and Batgirl fit the bill perfectly while the Titans were out investigating in person. Unfortunately, time was running out fast. The redhead was looking over the map of the quakes that had happened so far and asked, "Any ideas, Naruto?" "It's obvious what they are trying to do, but in order to stop whoever it is we need to predict their next moves and intervene." Going over multiple maps of the region, Naruto stroked his chin as he recalled some American history. "It looks like someone is trying to replicate the 1906 San Francisco earthquake 6 by causing tremors at strategic points along the northern section of the San Andreas Fault." He looked over a historic map of the area and added, "The most logical place for a quake to set things into motion is 2 miles west of San Francisco out in the Pacific Ocean. That's where the original rupture was." Batgirl nodded and said, "Let's look at a satellite map and see if anything is in that area." Zeroing in via satellite, Naruto said, "There's a construct very close to the epicenter of the 1906 earthquake. It looks like an oil rig or the likes." Batgirl started going through records and soon located the old oil rig in detail. Offshore oil rig number 117. It hasn't been in use since 1967. It's been abandoned and condemned for a long time. As the satellite photos became more and more defined, it was obvious something was amiss. "There's a modern helicopter landed on the abandoned rig. It looks like we've found something." With Robin. "An abandoned oil rig, you say? Give me some GPS coordinates and the Titans will rendezvous there." "Good work, Batgirl. You owe Naruto some thanks too," replied Barbara. "He figured out the pattern before I did." "Grumble, grumble, grumble. Give him my thanks," growled the boy wonder. Robin could hear the humor in her voice as she said, "I'll do just that." Offshore oil rig number 117. The H.I.V.E. 5 were extremely bored. Mammoth looked at his watch and said, "There are still 7 hours left to wait. God, I'm bored. I wish something exciting was going on." That's when an overpowered starbolt hit Mammoth dead on in the chest and blew him off of rig 117 into the water below. The H.I.V.E. 5 heard Robin yell, "Titans, go!" "How the hell did those pinheads find us?" screeched Gizmo. Alas, it was just not a good day for the H.I.V.E. 5. They were totally blindsided by the Titans' ambush and were fished out of the Pacific by a Coast Guard cutter hours later after the majority of oil rig 117 sank into the ocean. The victorious Teen Titans head back to their tower having captured the seismic cannon for study. It would soon be turned over to the Justice League. Titans Tower, Jump City. Naruto was looking out one of the windows of the Titan Tower towards Jump City and pondering his situation. The Titans were celebrating their victory and seemed like ordinary friends off duty. The only people he'd known as true friends in his life were his girlfriend Barbara and his sensei Jiraiya. "I was trained to hunt humans since birth. I just don't know about this superhero business. My father, Bruce Wayne, is a vigilante with an absolute conviction not to kill. Ra's al Ghul is an eco-terrorist that wants to save the Earth by wiping out most of humanity. I guess I'll have to forge my own path somewhere in between." Titans Tower, Jump City, California, United States. Barbara was having a good time with the Teen Titans celebrating. She knew that Naruto had little interest in partying though. He could fake it well enough but was a bit of a hermit by nature. It wasn't really a matter of him being unfriendly per se, he just was awkward in certain social situations, like parties. The Titans had their own resident hermit though. Raven preferred to meditate in her room, and after making a token appearance at the festivities, she quickly sequestered herself way away, preferring privacy. "Friend Barbara, how did you and Naruto meet?" asked Starfire. The friendly Tamarinian girl was very curious about her new friends. Commissioner Gordon's daughter laughed. "It's a very long story. I wouldn't was to bore you. I'd be very interested in hearing about it myself," said Robin pointedly. "He's still suspicious of Naruto," thought Barbara. "I guess I'd better tell them or Dick will hound me all night for information." The red-headed crime fighter cleared her throat and said, "Well, if you insist, it all started about a year ago when I saw him in one of my criminal justice classes." Flashback. Burnside College, Gotham City, Criminal Justice 400 with Professor Russet. In the early part of the semester, the brown-haired, mustached Professor Russet was lecturing on the actions of various vigilantes whom he wasn't fond of and Batman, who he liked even less. The professor was a strong proponent of rehabilitation rather than imprisoning criminals. The instructor saw Naruto sitting in the back row with his eyes closed. With proverbial steam coming out of his ears, Russet said, "Mr. Uzumaki, I do hate to interrupt your nap time, but would you care to comment on the recent expansion of Arkham Asylum and what it means to Gotham?" Several people snickered. Naruto Uzumaki was known to either sleep in class or have his head in a book reading. No one thought he paid any attention. Barbara thought he was easy on the eyes, but she and the blonde hadn't ever engaged in a conversation. Now the professor was making an example of the Naruto in order to embarrass him. Naruto's blue eyes clicked open and he pinned Professor Russet with a glare so fearsome that Barbara gasped. She saw the image of her mentor Bruce Wayne in his Batman persona when he was interrogating someone. His eyes look hard and fierce just like Bruce's do. The professor squirmed under the glare and Naruto said authoritatively, "The expansion of Arkham Asylum and its self-proclaimed mission to rehabilitate mass murderers, rapists, drug dealers, sex offenders and the so-called supervillains that stage breakouts from the asylum on a regular basis is nothing but a total waste of taxpayers' money." Russet and half the class gasped and had their eyes big as saucers at that comment. "Humanitarians such as yourself, Professor, are only feeding this parasitic organism feeding on our society. These criminals regularly get sentenced 50 years to life in prison only to be paroled within 3 years so they can wreak havoc again." Then the blonde added scathingly, "What a beautiful system. America, home of the free." Russet had turned a bull loose in a china shop. The professor's carefully constructed argument that supervillains were misunderstood victims of circumstance and that the vigilantes were the real criminals was being systematically ground into dust. Several tense minutes later, the blonde concluded his rhetoric by saying scornfully, "We wouldn't need vigilantes if the criminal justice system could actually do its job and deal with these supercriminals in a permanent fashion. Your naive, simpering views that these people should be given a second chance after second chance and still go on committing crimes are absolutely in opposition of the justice system. You, sir, or a fool who supports criminals more than justice? Have you no shame at all? Professor Russet looked as if he was going to collapse after Naruto's verbal beatdown. The instructor felt like he'd lost a fight against a junkyard dog. He was absolutely speechless. Then the blonde growled, "Are there any other subjects you'd like me to comment on?" Russet gulped and replied weakly, "And no, Mr. Uzumaki. Thank you for sharing your insights with the C-class and I." Naruto nodded, leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes again. Cafeteria. Barbara was in the lunch room having a meal with several other girls from class that were discussing Naruto's comment. "Never poke a sleeping dragon in the eye," said one girl. "You'll get burned." The beautiful red-headed, green-eyed girl quietly listened as others weighed in their opinions. Some felt Naruto was absolutely right, but others were sympathetic to Professor Russet. "I mean, did Uzumaki have to totally destroy the professor?" asked a tall girl. "Russet looked like he was going to keel over and die when he dismissed us." A pretty brunette girl said, "Professor Russet did ask for it. He opened the floodgates and got the flood." "I thought it was cool the way Uzumaki presented his argument," interjected a blonde. "Imagine that kind of a presence in a courtroom. He would be a damn good attorney." Soon most of the discussion was taken over by the girls who were more interested in Naruto as a future prospect. Barbara had completely tuned them out by then. "Hey Barbara, you are the commissioner's daughter," said an acquaintance who was giggling. "What do you think of Naruto?" "I think he's hot." Barbara thought for a moment and replied, "He's a brutal debater, that's for sure. To be honest, I don't know him at all, so it's hard to give an opinion." "You have to agree that he's really something with those fiery blue eyes and blonde hair though," said a raven-haired girl dreamily. "He is rather handsome," agreed the redhead. The chatter went on for some time afterwards. Burnside Train Depot. At the end of the semester, Barbara was boarding the train back to the Gotham City proper. It was cold and the region was hit with an early winter snow. The gorgeous redhead was headed home to her father and was talking to him on her cell phone. "Dad, it's just a 2-hour train trip with no stops. I do not need a police escort even if I am your daughter. Just relax, okay? Look, I'm getting on the train. I'll see you at Gotham Central Station in a couple of hours." Shaking her head as she ended the call, the undercover crime fighter thought to herself, "You'd think that the Joker was after me. I guess I shouldn't complain. Dad is overprotective because he loves me." As Barbara put her carry-on bags on the train, she saw a man with blonde hair and a black long coat board the train car behind her and a lithe woman in green getting on the one ahead of hers. The redhead thought it was odd that no one else was getting on the train car she was until she got inside. 2 Gotham City police officers were guarding the doors at either end of the car and not allowing anyone access to the car but her. Barbara sagged and asked, "Let me guess, am I the only one allowed to ride in this train car?" "It was the commissioner's orders, Miss Gordon," said one of the officers with a salute. He was a small, physically fit man with hair graying at the temples. "Please understand there are dangerous criminals who might try to harm you for who you are and who you're related to." The green-eyed girl wanted to tear her hair out. "This is ridiculous. I'm Batgirl, damn it," she thought. "Fine. I get that you guys are just following orders, but Dad's going to get an earful for this." The officer said with relief in his voice, "Thank you for understanding, Miss Gordon. I'm Officer Murphy and this is Officer Shaw." She looked towards the front of the car where a huge, hulking man nodded at her. He looked very annoyed and Barbara figured the man resented being on babysitting duty. The redhead sighed and said, "It's nice to meet you both. I'll just sit here and read on my phone." The train's horn blew and it slowly started to accelerate down the tracks as she read. Barbara looked at the blustery snow outside through the window of the train and listened to the clickety-clack of the train as its speed evened out. "It's going to be a long trip," she thought. Officer Murphy thought to himself, "Thank God the commissioner's daughter is well behaved. I was afraid she'd throw a temper tantrum at first." Single quote. For his part, Shaw was thinking mutinous thoughts. "It's my daughter's birthday and I'm stuck watching Commissioner Gordon's daughter. Damn it. What else is going wrong today?" He shouldn't have asked. In the train car ahead of Barbara's was a young woman of part Vietnamese descent that was a professional assassin. Her name Jade Nguyen, but she was more known by the moniker Cheshire because she wore a smiling cat mask while she worked. The mask completely concealed her face and was white in contrast to her raven tresses and green assassin's gear she preferred. She was incredibly dangerous, as it was, but her real specialty was poisons which she coated her clawed gloves and bladed weapons with. Even something as shallow as a graze or paper cut could be potentially lethal depending on which poison Jade used. Cheshire had a special mission tonight: no killing, just paralysis. The Joker had hired her to make sure everyone in Barbara's train car was alive and awake. Jade was to shoot Barbara Gordon in the base of the spine and paralyze the girl for the rest of her life. Then the assassin was to rip the girl's clothes off and take pictures, lots of pictures. It was part of some elaborate scheme, but Cheshire didn't know all the details. *1 Truthfully, she thought the whole camera business was kind of gross, but the Joker was calling the shots and paying a fortune to Jade upon completion, so it didn't matter. It was risky though. Even the League of Assassins had told Cheshire to not work with the Joker, but at the end of this job, Jade would be rich. Putting on her face mask, Cheshire thought, "You are one sick puppy, Mr. Joker, time to get to work." Single quote. Officer Shaw was standing with his back to the door in the front of Barbara's train car. He was following orders to watch Miss Gordon even though his mind was elsewhere. The big man heard a clicking noise behind him and slid open the door to investigate. No one was there, and Shaw looked around the passage with a flashlight before heading back towards his post. He felt a tiny prick like a bug bite on his hand and slapped the spot, thinking it was a spider or something. Feeling irritated that he was bitten, Shaw went to close the door and found he couldn't move an inch. He gasped, or tried to, when a lithe woman with a smiling cat mask appeared out of the darkness of the passage. The cat-masked woman whispered, "Quiet now, I need you alive so you can see everything and report it." She tapped his chest and the big officer fell over with a thud that echoed through the train car. Murphy saw his partner go down and went for his pistol. The older officer saw the glint of a throwing blade and dived to the floor to avoid it. It only nicked his cheek, and Murphy drew his gun only to find he couldn't move. The veteran police officer could only stare in silent horror as the green-clad assassin glided down the aisle like a ghost towards Miss Gordon. He saw Barbara tense up and get ready to move as Cheshire drew what looked like a toy gun the Joker would use. Barbara moved like lightning and avoided Cheshire's first and second shots that were strangely aimed at the redhead's abdomen. The third shot went over Barbara's head and Cheshire hissed, "Stay still, you privileged little bitch. The Joker wants you alive." Commissioner Gordon's daughter froze for a split second, and Jade said with a smile in her voice, "Pretty as a picture." That's when Naruto appeared from under the hiding camouflage technique on the ceiling and dropped down between the two young women. He growled, "I've been looking for you, Jade Nguyen." Jade laughed and asked, "Who are you, some kind of a hero?" "Drop dead." Cheshire fired the gun at Naruto's center of mass, and the blonde drew his katana so fast that sparks flew along the edge of his blade. Two halves of the cat-masked woman's bullet clattered to the floor, and Jade felt real fear for the first time in a long while. "He cut my bullet in half," she thought. The blonde raised his hand in front of him and thought, "Wind style, great breakthrough." A virtual wall of wind smashed into Cheshire point blank and hit her hard enough to break several ribs. The pressure was so great that the windows of the train car blew out, sending glass everywhere outside. Even the train car's doors and the bulbs in the car's ceiling were blown out. Jade was in tremendous pain and could barely crawl when Naruto ruthlessly kicked her in the head and shattered her mask in the darkness. Now she was concussed as well and too dizzy to stand up. Cheshire felt the blonde man's hand grip her neck like a steel vice, and he whispered in Arabic, "You have displeased the League of Assassins, Jade Nguyen. Consider this your punishment." Then Naruto whispered in English, "Have some pain," as he threw her out of the train car's broken doors. Cheshire let out a scream of terror before she hit the ground at nearly 60 miles per hour. It would take her several months to recover. Flashback end. Then I found out Naruto was a private detective and he started helping me as Batgirl, explained Barbara. We became friends and then started dating the next semester. He's been my boyfriend for months now. Wow, that's some story, commented Beast Boy. I guess I'll just have to start sweeping damsels off their feet by rescuing them. Starfire smiled happily. Indeed, it is wonderful how you two met, friend Barbara. So what about his powers? Asked Robin. Barbara smiled and said, ancient ninja secret, with her index finger over her lips. He does heal really fast though. Why don't you ask him? Dick frowned and said, like I could actually do that. Raven appeared from nowhere and said, we're all entitled to our secrets, Robin. The boy wonder finally relented and said, I guess you were right. Raven went over to Naruto, who was looking out at Jump City while sitting in the lotus position. That was when the purple-haired girl noticed he was asleep, maybe. How could anyone sleep sitting like that? Perhaps he's meditating. Raven reached out telepathically to see if Naruto was indeed asleep and felt something unusual from the blonde. Azeroth Metrian Zinthos, she chanted. *2. Raven sensed an ocean of calmness. It's so vast and tranquil. I feel so peaceful here that I want to just curl up there and go to sleep without a care in the world. Her dark eyes widened as she reached out with her senses. Below, the sea of serenity was dark, roiling emotions much like her own. Love, hate, passion, anger, they are all boiling right under the surface. I wish I had this kind of emotional control, thought Trigon's daughter. I'd best withdraw. Single quote. When Raven opened her eyes, she saw Naruto was looking at her, yet she sensed he was still asleep. Naruto blinked and said, Can I help you, Miss Raven? The tele-empathic girl blushed. I'm sorry, I couldn't figure out if you were sleeping or meditating. I didn't mean to disturb you. You didn't disturb me, replied the blonde. I was doing both. I was using Theta Wave 3 meditation. It is a method that allows you to be awake and alert, yet at the same time you get all the benefits of deep REM sleep. Raven perked up. Where did you learn this method of meditation? She asked. It sounds very useful. Ancient ninja secret. He replied with his index finger over his lips. That's exactly what Batgirl said, thought Raven with a sweat drop. Naruto smiled softly at the purple-haired girl's nonplussed look and said, I have a book on the subject in Gotham City. It took me about a year to master it. Perhaps you'd like to borrow it. Raven's whole face lit up. That would be excellent, she replied. We'll make some arrangements later then, said Naruto with a grin. Jump City, California. A few days later, Mara Al Ghul and her followers of the Demon's Fist were spying on Titan's Tower, watching for signs of their former teammate, Naruto Al Ghul. Their members were Mara, Plague, Stone, Blank, Nightstorm, Toxin and Smelter 4. There were other prospective members of the Demon's Fist, but Mara handpicked this group for their loyalty to her. She said to her team, Our target is Naruto. We must kill him at all costs. As for the Teen Titans, consider them expendable. Move out. Jump City Plaza. Beast Boy and Cyborg were with Robin at the time, eating at their favorite pizza parlor. They had no idea it was about to become a battleground. The three Titans were spotted by Mara, who pulled Toxin, Smelter and Stone in to help her. Stone struck first with a colossal punch that caused the pizza place to collapse. Smelter set the area afire while Toxin and Mara waited for any stragglers to come crawling out of the wreck-a-guy. Toxin grinned. That was too easy, he said. Let's start hunting for the others. Mara shook her head. Until we see the bodies, keep your guard up. Do you think there will be any bodies left? Asked Smelter with a superior smirk on her face. Between Stone and I there's nothing left standing, she added while pointing at the inferno. That was when a massive shadow loomed over them. The tail of green Tyrannosaurus, otherwise known as Beast Boy, came smashing down and sent the four assassins flying. Stone weathered the brutal hit well enough, but the others were dizzied by the impact. Cyborg and Robin came out from behind the flames, and Robin charged in like lightning and engaged Mara with his bow staff. The boy wonder growled, I don't know who you are, but you'll regret attacking the Teen Titans. You haven't earned the right to know my name yet, moron. Mara hissed as she drew two short swords. Hey Mara, who do you want me to go after? Asked Toxin as he failed his whip around. Mara's sweat dropped at her identity being revealed. Go after Beast Boy with Stone, you idiot. Isn't it obvious? As Toxin ran off after Beast Boy, Robin smirked. So your name is Mara? She growled. I'm Mara Al Ghul and I'm going to send you to hell. Sparks were soon flying as the two combatants engaged each other at incredible speed. Downtown. Naruto saw the pillar of smoke coming up from the location of the pizza place he was heading towards. Shit, what could have happened? Thought the blonde. He was about to take off running when he caught a certain scent on the wind, Naruto saw an attractive young woman jogging by and noticed she wasn't paying any attention to the smoke in the distance but was giving him a flirtatious smile instead. Narrowing his eyes, the sword wielder lashed out with a vicious throat jab that caused her to crash into a street lamp post. She cried out and shape-shifted into a male wrapped entirely in bandages. How? Asked the now revealed male who was coughing up a storm. He was gripping his throat in pain. Hello blank. I thought I smelled you, said Naruto conversationally. You know my nose is every bit as good as my cousin's. Tell me, is Mara here? Why should I tell you anything? Asked the still stunned blank. The blonde grabbed blank by the collar and smashed the shapeshifter's face into the lamp post with a loud clang. Feel like talking now? Asked Naruto. Blank's nose was broken and he said in a nasally tone, Mara's here, with the rest. There are 7 including me. Naruto knocked blank senseless by hitting his head on the street lamp again. Thanks for the information blank. For that I'll let you live, said the swordsman as he walked away towards the burning pizza parlor. Just like Mara, muttered blank as he slumped over and passed out. Back at the Reka-gai of Jump City Plaza. In the meantime, Beast Boy had shifted into a massive gorilla form and was trading some truly thunderous blows with Stone. With neither gaining a significant advantage, both fighters jumped back when a beam of white-hot fire shot between them courtesy of Smelter. Stone was grazed and his shirt set aflame, so he dropped to the ground and rolled to put it out. Beast Boy was able to completely avoid Smelter's random attack and landed lightly in a cheetah form. That was too close, thought Garfield warily. Then he felt Toxin's bullwhip strike him and yelled in pain. Toxin laughed in triumph and said, I always wanted to be a lion tamer. The shape-shifting Teen Titan was back in his human form and said I was a cheetah dumbass, not a lion. Try this. Beast Boy turned into a rhino and Toxin nimbly avoided him while whipping Garfield. Though it did little damage to his rhinoceros hide, Beast Boy noticed a numb, tingly feeling coming from the points of impact. You'll have to do better than that, crowed Toxin, The now shirtless Stone was back on his feet and accessing the situation. Mara has Robin occupied and will be pissed if I intervene, thought the heavy hitter. Toxin has Beast Boy under control. Then Stone saw Cyborg trading shots with Smelter. It was obvious the cybernetic Teen Titan's sonic cannon was both longer ranged and more accurate than the assassin's pyro projection. Smelter was now pinned down by a tractor trailer that clearly was marked with Texaco oil on the side. Stone's yellow eyes widened. She wouldn't. Cyborg had Smelter pinned and said, All right Blondie, give it up. You're stuck hiding under that trailer and I'm outside your range. Surrender and... I'm not surrendering to anybody, she yelled. Then she unleashed a torrent of flame at Cyborg while laughing hysterically. Ha ha ha, burn Tin Man. Cyborg whispered, oh shit, as he dived for cover. The oil truck blew up like a bomb and both Cyborg and Stone were sent flying in opposite directions. Stone crashed to a halt and stared in disbelief at the pillar of flames. Smelter had blown herself to Hades. Stone always thought that Smelter was batshit insane, but he was still in disbelief that she was dead. Nursing his wounds, the yellow-eyed assassin got on his radio. This is Stone. Smelter is dead and I'm injured. I'm pulling out. Cyborg came rolling to a stop near the faltering Beast Boy and Toxin, who was laughing with sadistic glee. You guys are just too much fun, chortled Toxin. Making Beast Boy paralyzed was easy. You're next, Cyborg. Naruto appeared out of nowhere in a body flicker and he laughed. Toxin, is that you? Biwahaha. Don't tell me, Mara sent you after me as well, didn't she? Are you stupid enough to fight me alone? Or are you going to run away as usual? The black and red clad member of the Demon's Fist growled. You bastard. Mara will love me if I kill you. The blonde's eyes lit up with chakra and he smiled, showing his elongated canine teeth. You don't actually believe that, do you? Seeing Toxin nod uneasily, Naruto said in a tone cold as death, lovesick fool, I'll send you to your grave. Toxin trembled for a second before steeling himself. He cracked his whip and said, You're dead, Naruto. Dead. Bruce Wayne's son made a come at me motion with his hand and said, You're nothing but an expendable pet to Mara. Do your worst. The Demon's Fist member cracked his whip and charged. To Ra's al Ghul's grandson, Toxin was just a slow-moving idiot that needed to be put down. Toxin was nimble but not very smart. Naruto drew his katana like lightning and blurred out of existence a millisecond before Toxin's whip struck him. The demon's fist MWMBER spun in his whip above him in a defensive posture. Then the blonde appeared in front of Toxin just inside the dark-haired whip wielder's guard and cut the assassin's right arm off at the elbow. Toxin's right arm flew off, still gripping the whip tightly and spraying blood liberally all over the place. The one-armed assassin screamed bloody murder as Naruto prepared to finish the job by taking Toxin's head. Cyborg screamed, "Don't, he's already defeated." Naruto stopped his katana a hair's breadth from Toxin's neck. It took all the willpower the blonde had to not finish the job. His blue eyes flashed as he flicked the blood off his katana and sheathed it. Then he said to the broken Toxin, "This is your lucky day." He quickly knocked Toxin unconscious with a brutal spin kick to the back of Assassin's head that made an awful crunch. The blonde sword wielder quickly rolled Toxin over and took the young assassin's utility belt off of him. Cyborg was up but Beast Boy was still down. Naruto pulled a green vial out of Toxin's belt and handed it to Cyborg. At Cyborg's questioning look, the blonde said, "Antidote. Give it to Beast Boy orally and he'll be fine." The ambulances arrived shortly thereafter. Nearby. Mara Al Ghul realized she was at a disadvantage and decided to withdraw. She and Robin were several blocks down, but the Demon's Fist leader had already lost touch with half of her team. She was starting to get tired. Hearing Toxin's hellacious scream made her realize that the Teen Titans weren't the pushovers she expected. "I never even found a sign of Naruto, damn it." She got on her radio and commanded, "This is Mara, all members of the Demon's Fist withdraw. Everyone rendezvous with me at Point C, Titans Tower." Hours later, the banged-up Titans regrouped at their home base. Robin said to the group, "It seems that the Demon's Fist withdrew after Toxin lost his arm and Blank had a major skull fracture. They are both in critical condition. As for Smelter, I guess that was her own fault, there wasn't really anything left to identify." "Can you tell us exactly who the Demon's Fist is, Naruto?" asked Beast Boy, who had fully recovered from the toxins in his system. "The Demon's Fist is an elite strike team within the League of Assassins," explained Naruto. "They are led by Mara Al Ghul, who is Ra's al Ghul's granddaughter. Mara hates me, but I have no idea why they came after the Teen Titans. You all may have been in the wrong place at the wrong time." Robin said to Naruto, "Obviously you've dealt with them before. How do you know them so well?" "I trained with them for some time. They wanted me to be a member of the Demon's Fist, so I'm familiar with them," replied the blonde. "Did they throw you out?" asked Raven. Naruto smiled. "No, I left on my own accord because I didn't trust them as teammates. Mara resented me and the others were divided in their loyalties. Not to dig too deep into your personal space, but why would this Mara girl hate you so much?" asked Cyborg. Starfire added, "I too have this question." The blonde gave a humorless chuckle. "Mara Al Ghul was the designated leader of the Demon's Fist until I came along. Then they gave the title of leader to me, a total outsider, and made her second in command. Mara hates me with a passion. Then no doubt they'll return eventually," said Batgirl. "No doubt," agreed Robin. Demon's Fist Rendezvous Point C. Mara Al Ghul was sitting in grim silence with Stone as Plague and Nightstorm arrived at Point C outside of Jump City. Mara was roughed up, but Stone looked like hell. Plague asked, "Where is everybody?" "Nightstorm and I were staking out Titan's Tower the whole time and never saw a sign of Naruto." Nightstorm added, "We saw Raven, Starfire and Batgirl, but they were just entering the Titan's Tower when we arrived. They weren't our primary targets, so we waited in ambush for Naruto and he didn't show up. The tower is pretty well defended. Do you think he was hiding from us?" Mara hissed, "Naruto Al Ghul doesn't hide from anybody. Blank got his head cracked open on a light pole and is in critical condition at the hospital. That has my cousin's name written all over it. My brother is in the hospital," shrieked Plague. "Why all? You'll do nothing, Minamoto," ordered Mara angrily. "Our agents will extract him once he's healed up. The same goes for Toxin." Nightstorm asked in alarm, "What happened to Toxin? Where's Smelter for all that matter?" "Toxin got his whip arm cut off," explained Stone. "I saw it on the news. As for Smelter, she's dead." "Dead?" asked Plague. What happened? Stone said. The crazy bitch blew herself up. She used her powers full blast while standing beside a tanker truck full of oil. Shit. This was a disaster, said Plague. I ought to. You ought to shut up before I silence you forever, said Mara irritably. We leave at first light in the morning. That is all. It had been a few days since the Demon's Fist left and everyone in Titan's Tower was sleeping in. Naruto woke up to the sweet feeling of his girlfriend lying on top of him and kissing him. They'd had an incredible night of passion and judging by barbarous actions she was eager for more. Naruto smiled into her kiss and gently rolled over on top of the gorgeous redhead and started kissing her neck. She threw her head back and moaned as the two young lovers started grinding into each other. That's when the damn phone rang. ARRRRGH, was the collective thought of the blonde and the redhead. Fuck the damn phone, growled Naruto. Barbara kissed his nose and smiled weakly. You'd better get it, it could be important. The blonde sighed and said, must you be so reasonable beautiful? She giggled and handed him the abominable phone. Naruto saw the number on it and sighed. It was his mother. Infinity Island, Indian Ocean. Talia al Ghul had been expecting a call from her son Naruto but ran out of patience waiting and decided to call him instead. After multiple rings she heard Naruto answer the phone and say, hello. What do you want? She wondered why Naruto sounded like he was speaking through gnashed teeth. Good morning my son, it's your mother. How are you doing? I made sure to call while it was morning there. Why haven't you called me? I've been waiting to talk to you. Talia heard a muffled sound like a string of curses in Japanese before Naruto's voice became clear. Good morning mother, I'm sorry I haven't called. I've been very busy with things and haven't made the time. Busy with what kinds of things dearest? Asked Talia with a raised eyebrow. Naruto wanted to scream he was busy fucking his girlfriend but remained calm and said conversationally, actually, Mara and several members of the Demon's Fist tried to kill me unprovoked. Unless there is a mandate out on my life I'm afraid I'll be obligated to kill them on sight. Blood for blood you know. As a matter of fact I maimed 2 of them without killing them out of the goodness of my heart. Is there a price on my head? I'm well and truly irritated about the situation. His mother's dark eyes glittered dangerously. Is that how it happened? Mara had different story to tell. I can assure you Mara's story was a complete fabrication, replied the blonde. It's my guess she set me up against Slade as well but that's pure speculation on my part. You have excellent instincts Naruto, said Talia. I will look into this. If Mara is taking unsanctioned actions your mother will take care of it for you. Naruto asked, since you called, do you have need of my services? Talia laughed. Honestly Naruto, does a mother need a reason to call her handsome boy? Now you are resorting to flattery mother, said the blonde. Does the League have a task for me to carry out? Talia thought with a sweat drop. He saw right through me. Naruto, it's time you met your father. Why? Naruto asked. I have no interest in him and he doesn't know I exist. You are his heir Naruto, she replied. And don't try to tell me you couldn't handle his money. You may live in a hovel and claim you have meager funds but the fact is you are a very shrewd investor. You started with nothing and you're already a millionaire at 17 years old. You've been spying on my bank accounts, asked the blonde irritably. You're my son, Talia stated. Call it protective surveillance. Anyway, we are getting off track. I want you to pack your bags and head back to Gotham within the week. We are going to meet there and go see your father. I already said I have no interest in the man, said Naruto. I don't see why you are so insistent about it. Talia growled, and you are being stubborn just like your father. Just do as I ask. I am your mother and I want what's best for you. You are the heir of 2 mighty empires and I'm not about to see you squander it. The blonde sighed in defeat. Where do you want to meet? Don't look for me, I'll find you Naruto, replied Talia in a pleased tone. I love you and I'll see you soon. Goodbye my son. Goodbye mother, said Naruto. Titan's Tower, Jump City, United States. As Naruto turned his phone off, Barbara saw how weary he seemed. Are you okay Naruto? She asked concerned. The blonde kissed his lover and said, my mother wants to see me for league reasons. It's not what I needed. I'm happy being a private detective and she wants to throw a wrench in it. Is it a hit? Asked Barbara worriedly. No. Nothing like that. She wants to introduce me to my father and I have no desire to meet him, explained Naruto. Do you hate him or something? She asked. The blonde shook his head. It's not that. I've grown up without him and he doesn't know I even exist. I'm 17 and now mother decides I need to meet him. I wonder what her real purpose is. The redhead looked concerned. That sounds suspicious. Mother moves in strange ways. Agreed Naruto. I can't pretend to know what her actual motives are. Infinity Island, Indian Ocean. Talia al Ghul went to see her beloved niece Mara with vengeance burning in her eyes. Mara was dressing her injuries she got while battling Robin when Talia came in. The young head of the demon's fist heard a knock and said enter. Talia came in and Mara looked surprised. Auntie, I wasn't expecting you. What brings you by? I came to check on my niece and see how you are doing, said Talia. Your grandfather told me you had a rough battle against the Teen Titans. Mara let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding and said. Yes, it was fierce. I will have to up my training and that of my team. That's when Talia backhanded Mara senseless and sent the girl sprawling into the floor. Talia got face to face with her shocked niece and hissed, You are 100 years too young to fool me, Mara al Ghul. You tried to set up my son against Deathstroke the Terminator, and when that didn't work you tried to use the demon's fist to kill him. You lost 3 valuable underlings as a result. Mark my words, Mara. If you go after my son again I will place a mandate on you and slay you myself. Do you understand me? Mara was shaking in fear and said, Why yes auntie. Please forgive me. I was jealous of Naruto. I will never do it again. Talia glared at Mara with so much malice in her eyes that the teen nearly wet herself. Don't forget what we've discussed today, Mara. Your grandfather may let these games go on but I will not. Naruto's mother stormed out and slammed the door behind her, leaving Mara to cry angry tears the rest of the evening. Titan's Tower, Jump City, United States. Robin called his former mentor, Bruce Wayne, who was also known as Batman. Dick, is that you? It's been ages, answered Bruce. The younger crime fighter said, Yeah, it's me, Bruce. I wanted to talk to you about Barbara. She's out here at Titan's Tower. Her boyfriend is with her and he has me suspicious. Have you looked into him? Bruce paused and said, I had my people do a routine background check. He's an immigrant from Japan and goes to college with her at Burnside. He seems very bright. What have you found out, Dick? His name is Naruto Uzumaki, but I think it's an alias. Robin replied. He's with the League of Assassins and came out to California to take out Slade Wilson. Deathstroke. The boy must be fearless or just plain stupid, said Batman with a bit of shock in his voice. So what ended up happening? Robin grimaced and replied, Slade dumped his body in the La Brea tar pits and left Naruto for dead. It turns out Naruto is a metahuman who has a healing factor. He was fully recovered within a week. I'm more worried that he's a threat to Barbara than anything. I want to send you the files I dug up on Uzumaki and see if there is more to find. Bruce frowned as he looked at the files. I can't believe I missed this. It looks like there's a fox in the henhouse. Dick, how much of this does Barbara know? She knows everything, said Robin. Half of it she told me herself. She says he's a good person and is convinced he could become a crime fighter like us. Have you seen any evidence of this? Asked Batman in a hard tone. Nodding, Dick said, he fought and disabled 2 members of the Demon's Fist who attacked the Teen Titans. He told us about them and that they were probably after him. It seemed to be infighting within the League of Assassins. Bruce asked, Are you sure it wasn't all staged so Naruto could gain your confidence? Naruto gave one of them a skull fracture that led to a coma and cut the arm off of the other, replied the boy wonder. The guy almost bled to death before we staunched the wound. I'm pretty sure it wasn't staged given the brutality of it all. I'll look into this, Dick. Count on it, said Bruce. We'll keep Barbara safe. Infinity Island, Indian Ocean. Ra's al Ghul was surprised to see his beautiful daughter Talia come storming in and pointing directly at his face before growling, How long have you known Mara was trying to kill my Naruto, old man? How long? Her father chuckled. I put the puzzle together fairly quickly, the business with Slade Wilson I mean. That was fairly well planned, but her second attempt with the demon's fist was disgraceful. She will be assigned some rather unpleasant tasks until she's learned her lesson. How long have you known daughter? Talia glared. I found out from Naruto when I called him earlier today. He's so much like Bruce it's frightening at times. There is a reason he is my chosen heir, Talia, said Roz. If he were to fall tomorrow, then he wouldn't be worthy of the title. His blood is the purest. Besides, if Naruto gets irritated, as he is known to say, he will execute Madara mercilessly. I don't see why you are worried, daughter. This situation will keep Naruto on his toes. The patriarch looked over a folder he was reading. This is the full, truthful report on Madara's attempt to kill your son in Jump City. You ought to read it. Naruto nearly put 2 of Madara's group in body bags. If they hadn't been so close to a well-equipped hospital, they certainly would be dead. Talia took the file and thumbed through it. So Blank nearly had his head caved in, and Toxin is now a lefty. I wonder how much effort Naruto actually put into it. According to my observers, Naruto didn't even break a sweat, said Roz Al Ghul. Magnificent, said Talia. That's my boy. Roz asked, how does Naruto feel about meeting his father? Is he excited? Naruto's beautiful mother sighed. He's indifferent about the whole thing. He has no interest in meeting Bruce Wayne. I would have thought that his curiosity would at least be piqued. Remember, he was the same way with you when he returned from his training with Jiraiya. Roz reminded his daughter. Talia cringed. It took me forever to form a bond with him when he came home from Japan. Who exactly is Jiraiya, father? Roz Al Ghul rubbed his chin. Gama Jiraiya is a ninja of the ancient ways. He took Naruto as his apprentice solely because he owed me a favor. After about a year of training, Jiraiya told me Naruto had potential to become a sage someday. He said little else. I'd like to see just how good an assassin Jiraiya is someday, said Talia. He defeated me in single combat with ease, admitted Roz. Talia was gawking like a fish at her father. The patriarch coughed and said, why do you think I asked him to train Naruto to begin with? Wayne Manor, Gotham City. Late that night, Batman went to see Commissioner James Gordon regarding Naruto. The 2 men were standing on the roof near of the building with the bat signal upon it. Jim Gordon was a bit surprised that Batman was asking about the blonde. Naruto Uzumaki. He saved Barbara's life on that train last winter. He works as a private investigator when he's not in school. The boy is really brilliant as a detective. Naruto unraveled several cold cases that we'd long since written off as unsolvable. When I first met him, I thought he was taciturn, but he loosened up eventually. I eventually gave him permission to date Barbara. He's a good, reliable young man. Why do you ask? The Caped Crusader replied, since both you and Barbara were targeted by the Joker, I just wanted to look into it. You can never be too careful these days. Jim replied, I'm glad you care, Batman, but from my experience the boy is good as gold. He's really helped a lot of people out with his criminal investigations besides the police. Sounds like you wouldn't mind having him on the police force, Jim, said Batman. The commissioner chuckled. I won't deny it. I've told him time and again I could get him in once he's 18, but he said he prefers to work alone. Naruto reminds me a lot of you in that respect, Batman. The Dark Knight nodded. Good to know. I'll be in touch. With that, Batman vanished into the night. How the hell does he do that? Wondered the commissioner for the 1000th time. San Francisco International Airport. The next morning, Naruto Uzumaki and Barbara Gordon boarded the plane going back to Gotham City. It was about a 6-hour trip and both of them were eager to return home. Naruto quietly meditated while Barbara listened to music on her phone. The trip was uneventful and the 2 young lovers eventually fell asleep holding hands. Hours later they were awakened by the announcement that they would be landing at Gotham City Airport. Home sweet home, said Barbara sarcastically as a TSA agent patted her down and ran her through a metal detector. There's nothing like having your personal space invaded to make you feel welcome. The TSA agent said, you can go, miss. Please move along. The gorgeous redhead stepped forward and watched as her blonde lover went through the same process with a bored look on his face. How does he get that katana through airport metal detectors? I need to ask him one of these days. Single quote. You can go, sir, said the TSA agent as he motioned Naruto forward. The blonde shrugged and grabbed his luggage. He quickly came over to Barbara and kissed her. She smiled and said, "Dad has a car waiting for us." "Let's go then," said Naruto with a grin. "It's been a long trip." They saw an unmarked police car pull up and soon enough they were riding to Barbara's home. Jim Gordon welcomed his daughter home with a hug and a kiss. "Welcome home, Barbara." "Naruto, it's good to see you," he said as he shook hands with the blonde. "Come on in and tell everyone about your trip. I hear California is nice this time of year." Barbara was glad to be home and the three enjoyed a nice meal together before Naruto bid them goodnight and caught a taxi to his humble abode. Naruto's loft apartment, Gotham City. Naruto came home to his loft apartment which was located directly above his little private detective's office in the East End 1. It was near the Immaculate Virgin Mission, a nunnery near the notorious Crime Alley 2 which was where many of Naruto's investigations took place. One might wonder how a private investigator would survive in such an area, but Naruto kept himself safe with a plethora of fuinjutsu seals which he had learned from his master Jiraiya. The blonde arrived home, checked his messages and went to bed. Around 2 a.m. Naruto heard gunfire and sirens outside. It was so commonplace for firefights to break out in the area that the blonde hardly batted an eyelash. However, Naruto threw his clothes on and decided to investigate when he heard a woman's voice yelling and the bullets ricocheting off of his office door. "It's probably some poor prostitute trying to get out of the gunfire. I feel so sorry for these girls out street walking," thought the private investigator. Naruto donned his coat and stepped outside only to find two minor gangs trying to obliterate one another in the rain. The blonde was going to leave them be when he saw a young black-haired woman unconscious in the street. She had on a costume that looked like a cross between a leotard and a samurai outfit and a cowl with a Japanese rising sun upon it. The woman was obviously in bad shape. She also had a distinctive pair of swords. They were both Muramasa 3 katana. Naruto really wasn't much a good Samaritan but figured he should at least get her to safety. "I guess I should pull her out of there before she is raped, killed or worse," he thought to himself. Naruto focused his chakra and body flickered over to where the young woman was lying. He drew his sword and cut a bullet aimed for him in half before unleashing a monstrous mass of killing intent. The gunfire stopped completely when one of the gang members said, "Shit. It's the guy with the sword." Naruto wanted to face palm as the two gangs quickly withdrew in opposite directions. Naruto picked the young woman up and hauled her back across the street bridal style before dressing her injuries which were fairly minor. The worst he could see was a knot on her head that probably knocked her out. She was laying on his little office couch sleeping while Naruto slept at his desk after having some hot sake. An hour later the young Japanese woman awakened rubbing the bruise on her skull and noticing that she had been bandaged up. She saw her sword sitting on a traditional Japanese sword stand beside her within arm's reach. There was also an oilstone and oil sitting beside them should she desire to oil and sharpen them. The young woman also smelled a faint scent of sake in the air. This was Tetsu Yamashiro, otherwise known as Katana. *4. It was still raining outside and Tetsu saw Naruto was asleep with his feet propped up on the desk. She listened to the thunder rolling by and tried to decide what to do. The young Japanese woman was in an unfamiliar place and had stumbled into Crime Alley after taking a blow to the head while fighting a group of Yakuza that were trying to build a power base in Gotham City. Naruto cracked open one eye and said in Japanese, "You are safe here. Please rest until your head eases up, miss. I will keep watch while you sleep." Closing curly bracket. About that time there was an almighty thud against Naruto's office window. He looked out his office window. The blonde smiled and said, "Be at ease. I'll take care of this." Kensuke Kekaru had hit the window with his metal bat and it bounced off of the window instead of crashing through it. He was a man of extraordinary strength and couldn't believe that it felt like he just hit a piece of armor plate. Cursing up a torrent of Japanese swear words, Kensuke saw a young blonde man poke his head out the office door and say with a friendly smile, "Ah, good morning to you, my friend. Is it not more polite to knock than attempt to break one's window? I am Uzumaki Naruto, what might your name be?" Naruto's smile was stretched to the point that his eyes were squinted. "Don't mess with me, man. Hand over that bitch and I won't have to kill you," said the thug. He picked up his metal bat and held it out threateningly. You don't want to fuck with the Yakuza. Closing curly bracket. Naruto continued to smile and replied, so you are Yakuza then? Please do not threaten me. I am but a humble swordsman. Closing curly bracket. You seem to have manners more like a barber than a swordsman with your smile, said Kensuke with an obnoxious chuckle. Naruto's eyes opened into menacing slits. Perhaps if you were referring to Sweeney Todd. The blonde drew his sword so fast that Kensuke didn't react until his throat was slit wide open and he fell over dying. How pathetic, said Naruto as he flicked the blood off of his sword and sheathed it. The blonde kicked Kensuke's corpse into a sewage drain in the rain. The blood was already washing off of the street. There would be no signs of Kensuke's death in the morning. Good thugs are so hard to find these days. Naruto stepped back into his office and saw the lovely Tetsu was up and alert. You know Iaido. *5 she said in perfect English. Kensuke Kekaru was a dangerous Yakuza with superhuman strength. I am impressed that you defeated him so easily. The blonde grinned at her. I had a slight speed advantage. I was never able to introduce myself. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. She smiled back. I go by Katana. The last thing I remember was being hit in the head before I collapsed. It seems I am in your debt, Mr. Uzumaki. Naruto waved his hands and said, no worries, just stay safe, Miss Katana. If you ever have detective work that needs to be done, please remember me. I will do that, sayonara, said the Japanese vigilante as she took off into the night. 3 days later Naruto was finishing up a case for the Gotham City Police Department. He sighed. Another case that can be attributed to a crooked cop. Commissioner Gordon is going to be less than thrilled about this. The blonde private investigator brought a picture up on his computer screen and thought to himself, Gotham City Police Officer Stephen Grogg. Age 32. Multiple cases of sexual assault against streetwalkers he was supposed to arrest. Child pornographer and human trafficker. This nasty son of a bitch deserves a slow and painful death. I wonder if I should turn him in or draw the line personally. Single quote. He heard a gentle knock on his office and saw a gorgeous woman on his camera. So she's arrived. He pressed a button on his desk that unlocked the door and said into the speaker, hello mother, please come in. Talia al Ghul smiled into the camera before she came in and said acerbically, hello my handsome boy. Is this the pathetic pit you call home? Naruto heard the door latch behind her and didn't bother to look up from his computer screen. He replied, I've been expecting you mother. This is my pathetic office I work in. The pathetic pit I call home is upstairs. She smiled at his sarcasm and said, I've missed you Naruto. You should come home and visit me from time to time. You know I have a business to run here in Gotham mother, replied the blonde. My income depends upon it. Talia scoffed. You could be living in a penthouse with a small harem if you wanted to. It's not like you need the money. Naruto looked up and said, I prefer to keep my funds for emergencies thank you very much. Changing subjects. Must I meet Bruce Wayne? I don't know what your real purpose is but it's certainly not family bonding. You really know how to make me feel welcome my son, replied Talia in a dark tone. The young blonde man looked up and said, my apologies. I have a particularly disgusting example of humanity I'm investigating and it has put me in a foul mood. Talia brightened up. Oh, is that what it is? Do tell me about it. Clearly her curiosity was piqued. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Well, let's see here, a crooked cop that is into sexual assault, human trafficking and child pornography. She laughed. I see. What are his good points? Naruto's eyes narrowed. He has 2 good points. He goes to church every Sunday and he's not a cannibal as far as I can tell. Talia had malice glittering in her dark eyes. I suppose the question is, what are you going to do about this my son? You could turn him in and let the so-called justice system take care of it, or you could deliver swift justice yourself. Which will it be? He works nights, said Naruto with chakra flashing in his blue eyes. I could deal with him easily enough. Why so interested? Let's just say, I want to observe my son at work, answered Talia. The blonde frowned. At nightfall I hunt then. Follow along if you want but don't interfere. This prey is mine. Talia smiled darkly. Wonderful. I'm going to enjoy this little excursion. Your father can wait until tomorrow night. 3 a.m. Gotham City, Crime Alley. Stephen Grogg was in hell. He'd been methodically hunted since midnight by a predator with a sword. The swordsman had gradually carved him up just enough to cause him agonizing pain but not enough to kill him. He was in a demolished area of Park Row hiding in the darkness and praying to his god for deliverance from the monster hunting him. Naruto was perched above the crooked police officer and glaring down at the so-called man. As far as Naruto was concerned, his prey was an animal, not a human being. He'd carefully, slowly herded Stephen Grogg into this particular area to dispose of the evil creature. Finally Stephen reached the destination Naruto wanted. It was a place where you could see across but not down. Naruto flapped his long coat in the wind to make noise, and the terrified officer Grogg turned around rapidly only to look up where Naruto was crouched with his coat flapping in the wind. Stephen was sweating heavily and said, "Are you the Batman?" He held up his badge in the moonlight. I'm a Gotham City cop." "You've got the wrong guy. I fight criminals." The blonde's voice echoed around the area. He growled out, "You prey on young women and children, Stephen. You are a criminal of the worst kind. Tonight it ends." "And no," squealed the animal, "I'll never do it again. Just let me have another chance. I'll make it right. I swear to God." Naruto said, "There are no second chances." He darted a throwing star and cut Stephen's cheek badly, causing the criminal to stumble backwards off of the platform he was on. Stephen fell off the platform in slow motion, and it seemed like hours to him as he tumbled 2 stories and hit the ground hard enough to break several bones. "Oh God, help me," whispered Grogg. "I'll play dead. That way Batman will leave me alone." "I can hear you breathing, Stephen," said Naruto from 30 feet up. "You're still plenty alive. What do you want from me?" cried out the crooked police officer. The blonde growled, "Look around you." That's when Grogg saw hundreds of tiny red eyes and the incessant chattering of rats. Stephen's eyes widened in horror as the back wave of vermin slithered out of every crack and crevice in the pit. Having scented his blood, Grogg screamed and screamed until there was nothing left to scream with. By morning even the bones of the evil man would be gnawed away, and Stephen Grogg's last rites were whispered on the wind. Naruto stealthily returned to his abode, knowing his mother would be there waiting. When he entered his office, Talia al Ghul was laughing melodically and said, "You are wonderful. I'm so proud of you, my son." The private detective Naruto Uzumaki turned in the data to Commissioner Gordon about the crimes of police officer Stephen Grogg the next morning, but when the Gotham City Police Department raided his home that evening, the crooked cop had apparently skipped town. An APB was put out for Grogg, but no traces of him were ever found. It was as if Stephen Grogg simply ceased to exist. Thanks for watching. Hope did you enjoyed this one.